Carrie was tired of the hectic life in the city, from the daily struggle through morning traffic to the constant harassment from strangers drawn to her beauty. Unable to endure it any longer, she quit her job to pursue her dream of becoming a writer. Thanks to a decent amount of savings, Carrie moved to live alone in a small cabin deep in the woods. There, she devoted all her time to writing, embracing the peace of nature and reclaiming the tranquility she had always longed for after so many exhausting days in the city. The first few weeks living in the forest brought Carrie a sense of freedom and excitement. She wrote thousands of words each day for short stories and a novel she had been planning. During her breaks, Carrie often strolled around the property, breathing in the fresh air and admiring the untamed beauty of nature. She found inspiration in the sound of the wind, the scent of leaves, and the presence of small creatures like squirrels and forest birds. However, during one walk several miles from her cabin, she discovered a strange deer skull with two extra small horns and a pair of human-like eyes beneath the main eye sockets. A deep sense of unease stirred in her the moment she touched it. The moment she touched the strange skull, Carrie felt a chilling sensation surge through her body, making her nauseous and terrified. She quickly ran back to the cabin, a heavy sense of being watched pressing down on her. Once inside, she locked the door tightly, drew the curtains, and anxiously peeked outside. Seeing nothing unusual, she tried to reassure herself that it was just the effect of being alone for too long. But later that night, while writing, she heard the roar of a deer near the cabin. At first, she thought it was just a wild buck, until strange, guttural grunting sounds echoed repeatedly, freezing her in fear of what was about to come. Carrie, trembling, turned off all the lights, grabbed a knife from the kitchen, and stepped toward the window to look outside. In front of her stood three figures cloaked in black, each wearing a deer skull identical to the one she had found that morning. They let out strange, guttural growls and began walking toward the cabin. Panicking, Carrie tried to call the police, but there was no signal. In desperation, she shouted, warning that she was armed and demanded they leave. But the strangers didn't stop. The sound of relentless knocking filled the cabin, bringing Carrie to her knees in tears. Suddenly, everything fell silent, until the doorknob dropped to the floor and the door slowly creaked open. The tallest masked figure stepped into the cabin with a strange posture, his disfigured face hidden beneath the deer skull. Carrie raised the knife to threaten him, but he stood still, arms outstretched like a statue of a saint. Carrie screamed and charged forward to stab, but he easily swatted her hand aside and delivered a powerful punch that made her collapse. He gently lifted her and ordered the other two to bring a chair and tie her down with rope. Carrie begged them to take things and spare her, but the leader only smiled. He said the goddess had no need for material things. She sought beauty, and Carrie, a writer, had the perfect hands to create it. Carrie was stunned as the leader claimed that the goddess had led her here because she possessed hands full of potential, tools for creating sacred works of art. He spoke of things like sculpture, painting, temples, books, all born from human hands, and the goddess needed Carrie's hands to continue her divine creations. When he praised her hands as too beautiful to go to waste, Carrie was overwhelmed with fear. Standing behind her, he ran his bony fingers slowly along her arm, sending shivers down her spine. Carrie began to plead, but he only whispered an apology as his grip on her shoulders tightened, his nails digging in until they drew blood. Carrie screamed and thrashed in despair as she realized the cruel fate awaiting her. She begged for mercy, promised to do anything, but her pleas fell on deaf ears. The fanatics remained silent, carrying out their task as if performing a sacred ritual. Later, the police discovered Carrie dead inside the cabin. She sat in a chair surrounded by a ring of leaves, a crown made of twigs and flowers upon her head, her mouth slightly open with a few berries resting on her tongue. Most horrifying of all, her arms had been surgically removed with precision, and blood still trickled down, soaking the leaves beneath her. Inspector Holt stepped into the cabin, struggling to remain composed as he faced the horrifying scene before him. He quietly observed Carrie's corpse, twig crown on her head, ring of leaves around the chair, and her brutally severed hands. A female officer approached, informing him that the victim's parents had discovered the scene during a visit. She handed Holt a blood-stained piece of paper bearing a crudely drawn skull and the words, "The moment of the goddess's awakening has come. With hands, she creates. But hands are useless without eyes to behold." Holt sighed deeply. "A cult. We're gonna need whiskey."